Starting with the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, to whom we all have to turn be. Honorable listeners and respectable audience, you know that we have started a series of research. In research, I told you about the definition of research, the characteristics of research, qualitative research, quantitative research, variables and research, the correlationship or relationship between variables. After that, we started the first chapter, and it is how to write the introduction of the first chapter in research, how to write the background of the study in research, how to write statement of the problem in research, how to write research objectives in research. Listeners and audience, today I am going to teach you how to write research questions in the introduction chapter of research. Remember, today's lecture is mostly connected with research objectives. If your concept is clear about research objectives, it means half of the knowledge you have gained. Why? Because whenever you are making research questions, your research questions must be pertaining to, connected to, or related to your research objectives. First of all, the question is, what are research questions? Listeners and audience, research questions are specific questions that are related to your research in order to answer those questions. It means, as we already stated that as research objectives are the map or the directions and the pathways of your research, same is the case the research questions. A researcher asks questions. He asks various questions, the specific questions in research, in order to explore the thing, identify the things, and also to enlist the things. So whenever a researcher asks question, definitely he will answer those questions as well. Now the question is how we will make research questions. One thing that is very important, your research questions must be based on your research topic. At least one research question should be like the title. However, the most easiest, understandable, comprehensive way is that whatever research objectives you have made, you have to change those research objectives into research questions. This is the very easiest way. If your research objectives are clear, your research question would be also clear. However, you should know the method as well, how to make. So first of all, I told you your your research questions must be the representation of your topic, your title. Second, the second thing is that they will represent your research objectives as well. Third thing is that your research questions should be also the representation of your statement of the problem. And the fourth thing, your research objective questions, they must be specific. And you remember yesterday the criteria I told you, the SMART technique, the SMART criteria. As we follow, as we follow and adopt The SMART criteria and research objectives, the same criteria will be for research questions. Like your research question also be specific, that would be also measurable, it would be also, for example, accurate or achievable, attainable, yesterday we discussed, and relevant and time bounded. Listeners and audience, remember, whenever you are making research questions, they must start either with what, which, or how. At least these three must be there. Like there must be what, there must be which, or how. Your research questions must be started with such kind of words, with WH, like in these three WH, with what, which, and how. Now, when we are writing these have specific purposes. Why we are writing what in research? Why we are writing which in research? Why we are writing how in research? Even we have been learned and we have been told that there must be how in your research question. If there is no how in your research, it seems that your research is incomplete. Like for example, what is used to show, to describe something, to identify something, or to enlist factors. For example, how you will ask question when, how you will make question when you're talking about what. For example, what kind of challenges the students are facing? What kind of challenges the student face in online learning, for example, or online learning? So what does it show? It shows identify the challenges, describe the challenges. Okay. Remember when we say how is used to explore the things, to show the impact of something over others, even to show cause and relationship. For example, how teaching methods or how feedback of the teachers influence the motivations of the students. Okay, and when we are talking about which we use or a researcher uses to compare one thing with another, to choose something or evaluate. Let's consider, for example, let's say this is our topic. Generally, the exploration of the use of informal language and the speeches of politicians between 2024 to 2025, or from 2024 to 2025. This is the topic, for example. So now, what would be your research questions regarding that? The first question would be, for example, if you're asking from what, you can ask what are the use of informal language, informal words, and the political speeches of politicians between 2024 to 2025. And the second question, you are asking how. For example, how informal language, how does the use of informal language influence, or the use of the informal language of politicians influence the audience? And the third one you can ask, for example, which kind of language is used mostly in the use of and the language of politicians? Which sort of informal languages? So I'm sure that you know about. I just asked general question that you know, but remember the question must be specific, that you know that how we are making research questions. Hope that this topic is clear to you. Thank you.